Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, we're coming in hot today. Or at least I'm coming in hot. I am red hot after my game I played last night on the table.
Well, there's ups and downs in playing your favorite team.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, the ups and downs of playing your favorite team. And it's just kind of ironic that we've been talking about that for a few days, and then last night was the
you got the special.
I got the I hit the tipping point last night. It was almost dice chucking time last night around Studio A. So it ties in real nicely. So I'm coming in hot. I am red hot. I am screaming through the ozone layer, coming back to Earth in a ball of fire as we talk about the ups and downs of playing your favorite team. See, ways to get a hold of us here. Digital
the visuals on that are terrible.
Right,
thanks for that.
Right. I'm coming in. Yeah, I don't know if I'm coming in feet first or head first. Coming in, when you see the shuttle come back and it's on fire there.
You're just a hunk of burning plasma is what you are.
That's what I am. Hoping I land in the ocean and cool down. Digitaltodice.com is the website. A brand new website, by the way, where we have all kinds of goodies up there. And I need to add a few more things up there as well. But digitaltodice.com, and that links to all of our shows. And it actually has a list of all the guests that we've had on the show too. And we got some more guests coming up, hopefully as soon as next week. So that should be kind of fun. Keep an eye on that. 978-751-DICE is the text line. 978-751-3423 is the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the best way to get a hold of us on the email. And over on Facebook.com, it's facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And we are up to, 1,100 people up there right now.
Almost.
Yeah, it is. So the group is going pretty well. And again, keep in mind that the Facebook group, we invite you to come along and get into the discussions in the chats. But again, just a reminder, videos and YouTube videos are limited to reviews, unboxings, first impressions, and tutorials, okay? So please don't go to YouTube and start posting your gameplay stuff. We had way too many of that, and the group just got flooded, and we weren't able to have discussions because it was all just YouTube videos. So feel free, if you're going to do a review, an unboxing, a first look, a tutorial. We love those. We love anything that's informative. But as far as just generic gameplay, we know where to go for that stuff there. So we want to have a lively discussion on our Facebook group. So please keep the YouTube videos to those specific categories there. And we love like discussions and polls and things like that. We want to know what you're thinking, because that feeds into the show. And a YouTube link doesn't feed into the show. Whereas if you have a discussion, now we have something to talk about, and we've taken a lot of those discussions and turned them into show topics. Again, if you'd like to join our Patreon and support the show and join our Discord, patreon.com/digitaltodice. And we got a very lively Discord going with our Patreon members and some great talks. But, the Facebook group is good, but the Discord is a lot more personal, I think. And we really can kind of get into what's going on with the show and what people are playing and the whole bit. So anyway, so episode 140 here today. It's been cool out here. You hit some records up there for cold, right?
Yeah, last Saturday we had a high of 55, which I know a lot of the country is baking right now. Not here in the great Northeast. That is, last Saturday was the record lowest high, coolest max, I think is what they said, temperature on that given date. And Saranac Lake, which is right across the lake from us, and the Adirondacks, I believe had a high of 50 on Saturday. There's a little elevation there, and they had snow flurries up in the whites and the greens. And
I've seen there's been snow in some places. It's been that cold. Yeah, we went out with some friends. So it just hasn't. We're lucky. This really hasn't been much of a summer so far, and a rainy day here, and I think the high today is 66. Once again, we don't have a spring here in Boston. It goes from snowy, cold, and right into the hot. But it hasn't really been that hot. But we haven't had a nice spring. It's just been cold.
The air conditioner set to 73, and by this time of year, the bedroom's usually about 79, 80 because it's been warm long enough that my little portable just can't keep up with it. I'm looking over now; the temperature in here is 73.
It's still long pant weather at night around here. It feels like fall at night. It's been getting into the 50s.
So you got to paint your own leggings on there, Gardner. I'm not.
Yes, I do.
So anyway. By the way, I was sad to see that Tony Siragusa died.
That was unbelievable. He's my age.
55.
He was a great player. He was a great I loved him as a broadcast. He had the big fur coats on down by the sideline. He just told you as it was. He was a player's broadcast. He was not a broadcaster. He was a player's broadcaster.
He broadcast as a player and pulled no punches.
Yep, and I love that when broadcasters do that. Derek Sanderson did that. You know, Saragusa did that. There's a few other guys that do that when they get on the broadcast, and they talk like a player, and you learn a lot about the game from those people rather than, you know, the people that just want to broadcast it. So I was shocked, really.
I was really stunned. I knew that they had been used in a few years, but you know, there's lots of local things. I mean, with every NFL team, there's a lot of shows that go along with it, just because the NFL is a year-round experience, and so I assumed that he was just doing stuff with the Ravens. But yeah, just way too young. He was a sizable fellow, and I hope that's not what that was.
I don't know. I haven't heard, but yeah, that's too bad. So yes, we got the weather out of the way. We got some of the news out of the way. Should we get into what we're playing?
Sure. Although you've been really good at not guilt me into doing any specific replays for the website, I started a project that I'll be doing results for the website.
Okay.
I'll take a few minutes to talk about that. We all have 18 gazillion games. You know, that's just what Dave and I do. And so I pulled out a roster card. When Gilles Thibault was on a few weeks ago, this is a project that he inspired.
Okay.
He inspired. And, you know, he does the Steroid League, which is either an American League or National League season from the 87 to 2001 or whatever, and he just plays it. Doesn't full out, and he uses APA, of course. He, by the way, is on his way to his first convention. He was on a plane this morning and got laid over. And
I saw that, yeah.
And was playing football at an airport. That was great. So when he listens to this, yeah, good for him. And so, you know, he does the league replays, and APA plays fast and all that. Well, I really can't play APA on my computer per se. I mean, I have a one or two, but I also wanted to play a modern season. So I have Roster Card Baseball, which is a kind of a basic, simple, quick play, not a full play game, but kind of fits the bill between like APA Basic. Or actually, I think he plays, but, you know, APA Baseball. And so instead of doing a league replay, I want to do a project that I think I can actually finish, because we all get Golden Corral syndrome. Like, oh, it's only $10. Like, oh, how many pieces of roast beef are you going to eat, Mr. Juckett?
Did you see hold that thought about
Sure.
The video I posted about that girl that ate that huge pizza?
I haven't watched it, but you've told me about her.
Yeah, so speaking of Golden Corral, just a little sidebar. So we're going to go off on a tangent here for a second.
They throw her tushy out.
Oh, my gosh. We stumbled on her channel on YouTube, and she's...
You know her name?
Kalito or something like that. I forget. But she's a professional eater, and she works out. She's got arms bigger than me. She's 120 pounds, and she is just a brick bleep house, okay? And her boyfriend's a big monster, and he does it too, so they do the challenges together sometimes. Sometimes they do it separate. But this girl goes to these places that have these food challenges, and she tries to, it's like a man versus food type of thing.
Right.
And this little tiny girl sits down at this table and polished off 6 pizzas. 6 pizzas. She'll sit down and eat 7 pounds of like a hamburger with like all the potatoes and all the milkshakes to go with it. I don't know. It's like the Joey Chestnuts. It's really it's insane.
Pretty much.
So when you said the Golden Corral, it just reminded me of her. So she sat down. She ate that huge pineapple pizza, and I think it had peach, pineapple, and there was something else on there. She's like, "Oh, the peach is really good," but it had pineapple on there. But that's what it was. Is she ate the whole thing, and that was one of her easier challenges. She sits down with like trays. Picture a 6-foot sub, right? We've seen those at parties. 6-foot subs. She eats the whole thing. I mean, I eat a foot of it. I'm stuffed after a foot long sub, and she eats the whole 6 feet. It's
I don't remember the last time I even tried to eat a foot long by myself.
And then what was nuts is one of the challenges that she did, and I'm almost done the tangent, is she ate this gigante burger. It was like, I don't know if it was a 4-pound hamburger with peanut butter and jelly on the top with a milkshake and 2 pounds of fries, right? And then the next challenge she did, she goes, "Oh, I'm still kind of full from that Gigante challenge yesterday." Yesterday? Yes, you ate 6,000 calories yesterday, and you're sitting down to do it again at a new challenge. I thought they took like time out between these things. And these two people are like boom, boom, every day. She did a beef one. It was a brick of beef. It was like a whole roast beef. And then she had this big thing on a bone that she ate. And they calculated that between the mac and cheese and the beans and the sides to be 10,000 calories in that one sitting. And she polished it off in like 45 minutes. 10,000 calories in 45 minutes. Holy cow.
5 days of calories for an adult male.
Yes.
2,000 calories a day.
10,000. But again, if you look at her, like when she kind of like puts her arms up in like a pose there, she's got biceps that are like twice the size of mine. I mean, she is just a brick, you know.
Some people, you know, if they're working out,
I think she's 30 years old, and she just must work out every day, and just the calories just are pumping.
You have to. Her metabolism would just
it is insane. So anyway, so when you mentioned the Golden Corral, I wanted to bring that up. That was the video I posted in the Facebook group, and
yeah, I saw that.
It was like it's entertaining to watch, but at the same time, it's like I can't. I don't know, man. I just get sick to my stomach just watching her just eat all this food. I love my food, but boy, I have my limits there too. It's unbelievable. But anyway, so you go back to the Golden Corral and roster card.
It's the old Groucho Marx line. I like my cigar, but I take it out of my mouth once in a while.
Right.
All right, so now I forgot where I was going to go with the Golden Corral thing.
Yeah, you in the roster card, and we have a buffet of games.
The roster card and that. And so it really is just kind of it's a basic game. You can make it more complex. It gives you the options for stadium effects and what pitchers will allow for home runs and what they won't allow for home runs.
Oh, so roster card has options.
Yes, roster card has options.
So you got a basic mode and then, I guess, advanced.
I mean, as a cards and dice game, you play it the way you want to play it. But yes, I mean, in the rules, there are, home run allowed. A pitcher can either take away from a home run or add to a home run, depending on the ratings. Yep. And there's ballpark settings for hits for singles. So a generic ballpark might have one rating, which is what I do. And, you go to Wrigley Field and teams might have a 5% better chance of hitting a single or something like that. So it can be as complex as you want it to be. I was looking for something just to kind of tick off and play and do a project I think I can finish. Not that I don't think I can finish my other ones, but just because, sometimes it's just good to sit and do that and learn. So I took the top 8 records of last year's MLB. Atlanta Braves fans, stop listening now. You finished 12th and won the World Series. Because I'm not looking to replay the champions. I want the best 8 teams because 7 teams and 6 games per team. It's a 7-week season, and it's 42 games. It's easily done if you sit down and have the right system, and I like the system, and you just play them out. And so I did a couple of rule changes that just because I'm doing the record keeping on the computer and keeping score in Excel and liking that. And so no game can go more than 10 innings. If it's tied after 10, which the very first game of my replay was tied at 2 after 10, there's no ghost runners on second base. The game's done. And we do the hockey thing. You get 2 points for a win and 1 point for a tie, and you don't get anything for a loss.
Interesting.
And I don't worry about endurance on my starters. So because today's date, no one really goes more than 5 or 6 innings because they throw so hard. And again, I mean, that's the way that baseball is played. It's not a criticism of that, but you can play in a way that you just ignore it and just use whatever the rules would be that you would use for a pitcher being fatigued. And for me, it's generally 5 runs, 10 hits, or 3 times around the lineup. And so you can get, does it really matter if the starter only threw 150 innings all year? You're not playing a full schedule. You're playing interleague. You're only playing against 7 other teams. Why start being realistic for that? So if your guy is cruising through 8, then your guy's cruising through 8.
Right.
Regular. So those are the caveats there. I did my first series between the Giants and the Yankees. and there's some things I'll change because the Giants had the best record according to Baseball Reference, and the Yankees were 8. So my next series will be the Dodgers and the Red Sox, 2-7. And I had a tie. The Giants are good. Oh, are they good?
Really?
And so out of a possible 12 points, the Giants took 9 points. The Giants went 4-1-1 on there. And the Yankees were fun to play. And poor old Joey Gallo will not be invited back to play the next series for the Yankees because he's just terrible. And I play him even, which is not the topic of today's show. And it was fun because, I mean, I like Stratomatic is my jam for most of my card and dice things and the racing games and that. But for me to be able to sit down there and have a complete card and dice, yes, I'm playing on the computer, but I'm the one keeping the score. And for Roster Card, by the way, has a Lewis Research flipper.
Oh,
and
good.
So
yeah, those are great.
So I use that for my dice rolls and for my fielding checks. And so it literally is, you flip the card, you record the result, you move on. And I'm hoping to get the game time down to about 20, 25 minutes per game. And that's perfect because to get, hooked up with the players of today's baseball, which I haven't seen in a couple of years because I enjoy it. I had some pitcher for the Yankees, Cortez, strike out 16 in their win. It was great. Is it realistic? Accurate. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be fun. It's obviously it's plausible, and that's what you want. And so thinking outside the box. So the next step is I'll probably start the Dodgers and the Red Sox, and then I'll, with the things I have in mind, and see how fast that goes, and then just do my stats by hand. So, yeah. So let's see what else. I did a fishing video.
Oh boy.
You and Bruins fan. What is it with you Bruins fans? But you were going, I can't believe you did a fishing video. And he said, I was so excited, I was quite literally on the edge of my seat. It wasn't meant to be exciting. It's fun. I opened up a new pond today. There's a lake in Oregon. And I caught a 4-pound I caught a 6-pound fish today. I couldn't keep it.
Oh, wow.
It's too big for my bag.
That must be relaxing. I don't like fishing. I've never enjoyed fishing. But
I got it because my go-to relaxing game is gyms.
Right.
You know how many hours I have on gyms?
Oh, yeah, thousands, yeah.
About 1,000.
Yeah.
To the point where I probably should be doing some videos on it, which would wipe out any, Stratomatic video I've ever done. And so just kind of, you go, you have a good time, you get a setup, you can relax, you can play music. Yeah, it's fun because I really can't fish. And so, but I understand if you're not interested in fishing, then this would be boring, but I got a chance to talk over it. So I did that. The baseball replay is going well. The Dodgers have stormed out to now down to a 14-game lead over Houston. They and the Cardinals are both 71-39. The National League is pretty much over. The American League has a great shape. And the one year that I didn't expect the Red Sox to do well, they're in second place and threatening to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty much. Oh, also did Strat basketball. Did a couple of games of that. Did the next Celtics game. Oh, the Celtics pounded the 76ers in Philadelphia. It's always great. 85-86. And I'm learning about 61-62. Which could be its own video right there.
Oh, cool.
So that's pretty much what I've been playing.
Nice. It's funny you talk about the guys having some fun with their fishing video and, I'm on the edge of my seat and the whole bit. There was a video game I played called Grand Theft Auto 4. Not 5. 5 is the newer one. I think that's like the big one that's huge.
5's been out about 10 years.
It is, but
right?
I didn't like 5. I liked 4. I think I finished 4. I got through 4. I enjoyed 4. Anyway, there was a scene in 4 where the guy goes into like his safe house, and that's where you save the game. And there's a TV, and you can turn it on and change the channel. And back then, which is probably got to be 12 or 14 years ago, it was the TV on the TV was the poker.
Oh, because it was really huge back.
Yeah, it was. That's when I first started getting on TV there. I forget what kind of poker it was.
It's usually Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, whatever the ESPN they get rid of hockey to put poker on. Okay,
right. The 5-card World Series of poker.
Yeah, and they had the river and the flip and the whole bit.
Right.
And so they had you could sit and watch the TV in this game. And they had the poker, and it's like, all right, now here comes the whatever. Oh my gosh, it's another king. He now has a pair of kings. And then the other guy's like, I have never seen anything like this in my entire life, Jack. This is unbelievable. A second king? I've seen everything now. He just went... It was so funny watching this in the game, and he was going nuts over a poker game. So, like when he's talking about how I'm at the end of my seat with this fishing game, that's the first thing I thought about was.
And Bruins fan, if you listen to this, I think it's funny.
Oh yeah, it's all in good fun.
I wasn't trying to, I didn't roll my eyes. He did the other day. I did one of the video talking about Doris Day in one of my games. And he says, oh, yeah, well, her son Jason is pretty good at golf. And her other son Boots played for the Expos. And I didn't pay attention to Jason Day, major golf champion. Boots, because of the age, I thought might have been Doris's kid. So I looked it up and realized that he had got me pretty good.
Well, you don't know. It's the same last name. You don't know. But anyway, yeah. So I just thought it was funny when he was poking fun at the fishing. Yeah. I was like, this poker game. The guy was, the guy was like, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. So
a second king.
It's so over the top how it was, but it was design of it was to be over the top.
Right.
So anyway, all right. So what have I been playing over here? Let's see. More Hockey Bones. I'm through 11 games of my 1992-93 Bruins replay. And again, we'll get into the topic of the day, what happened in my last game there. So I'm about to compile stats and recaps, and so I need to get caught up through 11 games with that. So I've been doing some of that. I streamed some 76 Hockey Bones because I got my 76-77 season in. So I had to play some Cleveland Barons. So I played. I think I played opening day Cleveland Toronto, and then I also did a Cleveland Colorado game. I streamed.
I still want Dave Gardner to do a Dave Gardner replay.
Right? Yeah, I know. Just that would be he's just on bad teams, so it wouldn't be a fun replay. But yeah, there's a Dave Gardner that played with Montreal and California, and also he went to Cleveland as well. And he always got an open net goal in that game against Colorado. He had the puck and just. The goalie dove back in. Place dove back and made the save. It was kind of fun. I'm playing that there. Let's see. So I played some Bones hockey. I even played some more Apple hockey. I played the Apple hockey the other day. That was kind of fun. I still like going back and forth between the two of them. They're very similar, but they each do different things. And so I'm really enjoying.
One makes coleslaw with carrots, and the other one just uses the 3 kinds of cabbage.
Yeah, they both do different things, and there's things I really like about each one of them. And so I can't decide between the two because they
That's
just
why
do
I said
different.
The coleslaw. Yeah. One, 2 different recipes.
Yeah, 2 different recipes. Yep, and they're both very enjoyable to play. Let's see. I played some Play History Maker Golf this week. I just pulled out 4 golfers, and I did something funny. I did a cutthroat. And what I did was each golfer started with no chips or anything and started on hole 1, and if you lost the hole, you were out. And I think I had 8 golfers. I started with 8 golfers, like the greatest of the 70s I think I used.
Okay.
And 3 golfers went out on the first hole because there were like 5 pars and 3 bogeys. So the 3 bogeys were out. And the second hole, I had another couple of pars and 3 guys went out. And then the last 2 guys battled 3 holes. I think they each got a birdie, then they each got a par. And by hole 6 or 7, we finally had a winner. So it didn't last very long at all, this little cutthroat thing that I did. But I just wanted to kind of pull out the play golf and get it back on the table because I do want to get back into that and play something a little bit bigger. But because it's a really fun game. And I was happy that I picked it up and I was able to, because I haven't played that in about a year. And I was able to pick that up and play that really without any major issues. Yeah, because I was kind of wondering, oh man, am I going to really have to relearn this whole game? Nope, not really. I mean, aside from playing the chips and acquiring the chips, I have to refresh that. But just as actually playing the game, it was very, very fun. So it's fun to play golf back on the table again. Let's see. Oh, I took advantage of the Strat Windows PC season sale. And picked up some seasons, picked up a couple of hockey seasons, and I also picked up some baseball. So once my Spiders replay is done, I have another classic season I'll be playing. Actually, I picked up 2 classic seasons. I'm not going to spoil which ones they are, but hopefully they'll be as much fun as the Spiders. They won't be as bad as the Spiders.
They're old enough that your grandfather would have called it a classic season.
Yeah, these are going back. These are really some old seasons there. So we're going to have some fun with the Strat baseball with some classic seasons after the Spiders are done with. And I also picked up 1980 because I had to. I love everything 1980, every sport.
And that one was just redone by them a couple of years ago as well.
So the first thing I did is I started playing the World Series. I'm playing the home team, and we had 2 great games. I streamed them both on YouTube. Both were 1-run games that the Phillies won both of them. Really fun. What's different, Ron, is I've been playing so much 1899 baseball, so much Spiders baseball, and it's been fun. When I actually played a modern season, if you consider 32 years ago modern, which is for me, I guess.
Do the math again.
42 years ago. Okay, yeah, okay. So 42 years ago. So when I did 1980, which is considerably more modern than 1899, I'm getting home runs. I don't get home runs in 1899.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had one yet in 1899. I got a lot of triples and stuff. So it was neat that the Phillies in Game 1 hit 4 or 5 home runs, and they weren't getting any hits or anything. It was just all home runs, no doubles, no singles. But the home runs kept them in the game. So I played games 1 and 2. So now the scene shifts back to Kansas City. But I really love that World Series. I know all the players in there, and it's just very enjoyable. And it's neutral teams, and I don't care who wins. I really don't. So I played some 1980 baseball.
You know, the scary thing is, I saw this on Facebook, and I know, Facebook is the arbiter of truth. Well, it's really not. That we are as far back in 2022 to 1970 as 1918 was in 1970.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's just scary.
It is when you think about it, because somebody posted like 1990 was 10 years ago, right? No, it's 32 years ago.
32 years ago.
Time
yeah.
flies.
On the 10th was my 33rd anniversary of graduating from high school. It just doesn't seem possible, but it was 1989.
Yeah.
Yep, we all did that. So, yes, it was. And that's the way it was. That was the first World Series that was played entirely on AstroTurf.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Kansas City and then Veterans Stadium. Yep, it was. But it's been a fun one. I'm enjoying that immensely in the Strat. I really like the Strat baseball. I like that it's computer-driven, PC-driven, and there's so many different options and ways to play it, but you can still watch the dice roll and get the results.
The beauty of all those Strat games is that you can turn off the max rules and make that a pure card and dice experience with the open engines and how now the super advanced rules, some things behind the scenes, especially the runners on for balks and walks or balks and wild pitches and all that. But it seems seamless, and you can roll your own dice in the baseball game.
Yeah,
the hockey game really needs that.
I feel like I'm really getting a good cards and dice experience out of that, but I'm getting some help along the way, and it speeds it up. I can play a game really fast, but I don't feel like I'm rushing through it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like you see every batter, you see what goes on in the whole bit. I just really enjoy it. I know it's an older looking game, but I really enjoy it, and that's not to knock any other game. It's just this. I've just kind of really it's grown on me, I guess is what I'm kind of saying. So that's about it. Oh, I pulled out Strat Hockey on the Table. I'm taking a break from APA and Hockey Bones, and I'm going to try to play some Strat Hockey on the Table. See if I can get that to go. I have it on the PC and I like it, but I have so many seasons that I purchased, years ago on the tabletop that I want to see if I can get that moving on the tabletop.
Just play the power play with the chart. Don't try to get cute with it. Just play the way that you know how to do it and expect it. It's still realistic.
Yeah. Yep. So I want to get back and play a little bit of that in the table now that I have Studio A all set up to go. So I pulled out the box of Strat Hockey. I even created a little table. What's neat about Hockey Bones is there's a little sheet of paper, and I put these little chips in it. It marks down, it counts down the time, and it does a good job. With APA, I can do it on the score sheet because it's 30 seconds. But
right.
With Strat and Bones, it's such an odd timing that it the score sheet doesn't work.
Strat's 40 seconds.
Right. So it doesn't work quite as well as it does with APA. So what I'm getting at is that with Hockey Bones, I still use the little sheet that came with it, and I slide my chip across on the table, and that keeps track of my time. It does. With APA, I use the score sheet. So with Strat, I just created one like Hockey Bones where I can slide my chip across and see how much time's left in the period and time it like that. So I'm looking forward to doing some of that.
Someone in the APA hockey group who has a mock-up of the scoreboard at the Forum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
With the Molson ads and the same fonts.
And the dots, the little dot numbers.
Dots. Yeah, that's...
I wonder how long it takes to change some of those things up there, because it does look kind of neat.
I mean, it's if you're going to get into it, get into it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's some really great creative people out there. So, but yeah, I think that's basically what I've been playing there. And so should we get into
yes,
this fiery discussion of the ups and downs of playing for your team? All right, here we go.
So you've learned to ride the roller coaster. Huh?
So holy cow, we talk about learning to lose in a previous episode, and it's funny because we've been talking about doing this topic for a few days now. A few days ago, well, what are we going to talk about this week? And we were like, hey, how about playing your favorite team, the ups and downs of playing your favorite team, because sometimes you're having a lot of fun and sometimes you get frustrated. And last night, in the game of Hockey Bones, I got the score sheet right in front of me here. And let me tell you how this went. So in a game like Hockey Bones, and it's very similar to APA, whereas if you get a shot attempt, you need to roll the dice and look at the player card and see if the shot is, quote, in range. If the shot is in range, it has a chance of scoring. If it's not in range, then it's a routine save by the goalie, and then you roll on the goalie card to see where the puck goes, okay? So that's how it goes. Usually, the scoring ranges, I'm rolling a D6 or a handful of D6s. The first die has to be a 1, usually. Sometimes you'll get a 2, and I'm talking both games here. And then you have to rely on the other die or the other dice to finish out if it's in range or not, if you follow that. If you're rolling 3, 4, 5, or 6, the chances of it being in range in either game is pretty much 0. Very rarely do you have anybody that's got a 3 on the first die. So in APA, that would be a 31 to 36, let's say. And in Hockey Bones, it would be a 3, and then, whatever you do roll on the white die. So it's very, very difficult to get a shot in range in either game. You got to roll really low. Last night, in my Quebec-Boston game, Quebec took 3 shots in the first period. All 3. I rolled within the range of the shooter. Okay? They only scored on one of them, so it was only 1 goal, but I was 3 for 3. I was 100% rolling and shooting range. Conversely, for the Bruins, I was into the third period on shot 22. 22 rolls on the cards for the Bruins before I got my first in-range chance for a goal. So the first 21 shots of the game, through the first period, second period, into the third period, there was no chance of scoring a goal. And I was 3 for 3 for Quebec. And then at one point in the second period, Quebec had 9 shots. 5 of the 9 were in-range checks for a goal, and they still only got the 1 goal. I was just getting so lucky on the Andy Moog card making saves. But what ended up happening is, because of course I'm a passionate Bruins fan. I want the Bruins to win in the whole bit, and I know they're not going to go 82-0 and whatever. But by roll 20, when the dice shoot out of the chute, and I see the blue 6 or the blue 5, and I know it's not in range, I started to get really mad. Because it was just, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And then Quebec gets a chance, first 2 chances of the third period, and I'm rolling 1s in the blue die because they're in scoring range. I mean, what are the chances that for one team you're consistently rolling 3, 4, 5, 6, and for the other team you're consistently rolling 1, which is a scoring check? It just got to be absolutely ridiculous. To top things off, okay, to top it off, somehow the Bruins got a second in-range chance in the third period, and they scored on both of their chances. Okay, so they were 2 for 2 on scoring chances. At this point, I was up near shot 31 or 32 just to get 2 chances in range. Quebec had 4 more in-range chances just in the third period. They had a total of 9 in regulation. 9-2. And I outshot them 34-23. It was insane. Now to make this even worse, so it's bad enough.
Conversations with Messrs. Bork and Wesley afterwards.
To make this even worse, so the Bruins are winning after waiting 22 shots to finally get one in range. Okay, I got a second one in range midway through the period, and the Bruins are leading 2-1. What happens? Quebec pulls the goalie. They got line 4 out because I have my own line rotating chart.
Right, you do the random chart.
And I allow line 4 to play at the end of the game because that means that they haven't played all period and the other lines are, quote, tired. That's just kind of how I do it. So line 4 is out there for Quebec with the last roll of the game. It's a pass to the 4th line left wing with a 1-something scoring range. What do I roll? A blue 1 and then a low roll on the white die. That's a scoring range. Final seconds of the game, they tie it up. The 4th line ties it up in the third period.
Where was it? The Coliseo or at the Garden?
It was in Boston. It was in Boston. And then what I like to do in these games, if somebody scores on the last roll, I technically there's time on the clock, so I like to do an extra roll. And that's how I play it. So I say, okay, there's still a little bit of time left. Let's see if I can get a quick scoring chance. If not, then the game ends, Roll the dice. The puck goes to Adam Oates of Boston. Automatic shot. I roll. It's in range. I can't believe it. It's my 3rd in-range shot of the game. It's a save by Ron Hextall. We go to overtime. First thorn in the side. Overtime starts. Faceoff goes right to Joe Sakic. I roll. He gets a shot. Guess what I roll? I roll a 1. It's in range. And Sakic scores 5 seconds into overtime. So I give up a goal with 4 or 5 seconds left in regulation to the 4th line, and then I get a chance to win it, and I blow it, and then Sakic gets an immediate chance in overtime, in range, and scores. They had 10 scoring chances in that game, and they only got 3 goals, which is usually it's 50-50, but for some reason Moog was making saves. They should have croaked me like 8-1. They really should have croaked me in that game, and I completely outshot them. But what was happening is, if you followed any of that, it's just the idea that I was consistently rolling high for Boston, which means no chance for a goal, and I was consistently rolling low for Quebec, which means a chance for a goal. And every time those dice come out of the chamber and I saw another 6 in the blue die, even on the power play, I'm just like...
It's a good thing for Derek Sanderson that game would have been on Nesson and not on 38, because I'm sure he would have had a few choice words for
that. And this is not a knock on the game, because this same thing has happened to me in APA, baseball, and hockey, whereas just, why am I rolling so poorly for one team, and the other team is having all these great rolls? And I think I did that with a football game one time, too. It's like, man, every pass is incomplete. But this other team, every time I roll, it's a nice low number, and it's complete. It just drove me nuts to a point where I was not having fun anymore. When I got to the third period, and I looked at it and said, holy cow, I got 21 shots on net, and not a single one has a chance of going in.
Yeah.
And then the other team has 5 out of 9. 5 out of 9.
About my love of Billy Smith and Bob Stanley?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the same thing.
It's exactly what it is. And so for those who weren't familiar with the Billy Smith thing, I'm doing the 75-76 season with the Islanders. Got about 20 games to go with that before the playoffs. And Smith was their number one goalie, and Chico Resch was their number two for the playoffs, although Chico has a much better card. And so anytime because I let Strat choose my goalies, not trying to do as played. So Strat chooses my goalies, and every time it's Billy Smith, I get edgy because the way the Strat does it is that you can score without being on a goalie rating, depending on if you're a really good scorer. You might have a 1-20 goal chance just because you're so good. Like 93 Lemieux, I believe on an inside shot, there's an automatic goal on a 5. Doesn't matter if it's Marty Brodeur or me in the net. It's just whatever it is. It's an automatic goal. And so goalie ratings aren't necessarily a bad thing depending on who your goalie is, because Kenny Dryden, I think it's like a 4 and a 10. Good luck rolling on a 4 or 10. But Billy Smith was a pretty good card. A 7 is an automatic goal if you get on the goalie rating and then that roll. And so it's realistic. His numbers aren't off the mark. In fact, he does have a 90% save percentage. But just the frustration is like, oh, no, because 7 is the most common rule with 2D6. Everything makes a 7. And so that's where he gives up the majority of his goals. And you look at his numbers after the game and going, you know what? He did save 6 of 10 or 7 of 9 or whatever, and he made 92% of his saves, but you could just see the frustration that, oh, God, he gave up a goal on a 7 again.
But it's just the idea. And I've had that in Strat, too, where I'm rolling and it's just like, saved by the goalie.
Yep.
And the other team rolls and it's like, oh, goalie rating, check the goalie, got to see if it's a goal. And it's uncanny sometimes how the dice rolls or the fact flips or whatever it is come out, and I've had the same with shootout hockey too. So this is not a knock on any game. This is just something that happens in every single game from time to time. And I played a game of shootout. I think it was with the Seals. Well, they took like a 4-1 lead. I'm like, oh, good, the Seals might win. Every roll after that was a scoring chance for the other team, like 6 scoring chances in a row, and the Seals gave up 5 goals and lost the game. And I'm just shaking my head like, how can I be rolling this bad or flipping the cards this badly?
Because fast action cards for the shootout helper work the same as a strat. Technically, after every pick of a card, they all get reshuffled.
Yeah.
And so it really is a random result. So you never know what's going to come. You can't count your cards and say, well, this one's out of the way. This can't happen again. And I would have been chucking dice, too, if a fourth line winger scored against me as the clock is running out.
Just to cap off, I mean, if that had happened in another game, it would have been a fun storyline. But in a game where I can't get anything in scoring range.
Who was it that scored?
Some guy named Lindsay. Some left winger named Tim Lindsay, Tom Lindsay.
Some scrub.
Yep.
That's what you get for playing as played. Someone that you've never heard of before gets a game-tying goal just with seconds to go. I get, to go along with that, you get frustrated when the first 2 forward lines for those Islander teams, especially the first one, is really good, but they don't get a lot of scoring chances, and they have – in all 3 of those columns in Strat, on a good number is a shot wide. It can't even get it on the net. So you got inside shot 6, and it's not an X, which it's LA. Like, come on, because in Strat that's a loose puck, and any defender can have it. And so playing fair, you give it to the opponent skater with the best assist average or the best assist number. And because they're going to get the best card reading on the next one. That's just the way to play it. Bob Stanley. God bless Bob Stanley. Red Sox Hall of Famer through and through. Was there for the good times. Single-handedly created some bad times. Apparently it's just salt of the earth. You want to have a beer with him. I hated him as a kid, just because he wasn't a traditional fireman, because that's how old I am. They weren't closers. They were firemen there. He's a ground ball pitcher. His job was to induce double plays. He was not there to strike out the side with the bases loaded. His job was to get a 6-4-3. 77 Red Sox. He's kind of a swing man. We've talked about this replay before. I don't really have 4 or 5 set starters. There's 7 of my 10 pitchers can start. Some of them have as many as 10 starts, and so you're trying to juggle things because that's the project I have in my head for that. So Stanley has to start sometimes, and he gets Christmas tree in the bullpen, the 3rd inning, whether I want to or not. Or my regular starter, Tiant, Fergie, wasn't a great year for Fergie Jenkins either. So my regular starter goes, okay, who's my reliever that has the lowest amount of usage? So I can sit there and eat 3 or 4 innings out of. Oh, good, it's Stanley. What's the score of the game? You're losing 5-0 anyway. What does it matter? 4 batters later, and it's 10-0. You're just like, okay, because sometimes we all do, and it's easier to do on a computer than it is on the tabletop, the rage quit.
Yeah.
I had a couple other words in mind, but because this is public, rage is the word I'll use.
But it's just when you start rolling dice so poorly, and halfway through this game, I'm thinking that, okay, I run into some bad luck. It's going to even out at some point. The Quebec's not going to get shots in range, and they'll go 15 shots and nothing. And Boston will get a handful of shots in range. It never changed. It stayed. It's all dice rolling. It's all random, and it's just like it's uncanny. Boston shot 6, Colorado shot 1 every time.
And when it'll even out? When you're up 5-1 against Ottawa the next time you're playing, then you'll put 5 on in the 3rd.
Well, that's the ups and downs of it all. There's been times that I've come back with my team.
Save these goals for what I need them.
And it's like, oh, what a comeback, and you talk about it, and you high-five, and you're doing a dance, and it's like, it's happy days. So you have the ups and downs of this there, but it feels like the downs are just a little bit more down than the ups are ups.
We remember the downs a lot more than we remember the
Maybe that's
ups.
what it is.
I think that's just human nature. Unless like you get to the 88 Red Sox or some of those other teams that you just don't lose for a month. Because that will happen. But, you remember it. You remember the things that irritate you because those are the ones that wake you up. Larry Bird for me in my 85-86 Celtics replay. He somehow is second on the team in scoring, but his card is way underperforming. He's only shooting 42, 43%, and he was a 50-50 shooter. And I can't figure out where I should be using him, whether he should be taking more, outside shot, because he's pretty much equal, outside, inside, and penetration. And my temptation is to penetrate with those shooters because Bird does so well from the foul line. So if he can draw the foul, he's taking shots anyway.
Right.
But so that's kind of frustrating. And Bill Walton, God bless him. I talk about him on my streams. Bill has single-handedly kept the weed industry going on the West Coast till it became legal. And in that 85-86 Celtics team, he starts 14, 15 games because Kevin McHale can't. And Strat is really good about making sure that people don't get overused or giving me the option of doing that.
Right.
And if you're familiar with how Strat basketball works, for players who don't have a high shot count, they'll throw an R in the column. And Walton just did not take a lot of shots. So all 3 of his columns, don't want him taking outside shots anyway, are full of R's. So they're full, which is replay. So you get it. You roll the die.
Reset,
it's a reset replay, and another 6 seconds ticks off the clock. And there is nothing more infuriating when you're rooting for the team and the shot clock is down to 6, and Walton has an open shot because that's what it says. So anything with an X or an O is good. R, 24-second violation. You want to say, I got to be careful now because I almost just swore again. Cheesem criminy Bill,
right.
You're open, take the blankety blank shot.
Yeah.
And that's the point you're going through there because in the end, it all evens out. He gets the right amount of things. The next game, he'll go out and get 15 points off the bench when you're winning by 30, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so again, that's that Tourette syndrome. I was like, my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I rolled another blankety blank 4. What's Quebec got?
Yeah, that's
1, 2. That's in range.
Yeah, well, I need a 1 to be in range, and I roll the dice. Here's another 1. Another one for Quebec. Are you? And I'm swearing myself in the. I'm like, are you blanking me? Here we go again, And then, okay, here's a shot and a rebound coming up for Boston. 5 out of range. Okay, rebound goes to the left wing. 4 out of range. I mean, and then Quebec gets it. A shot attempt, it's a 1. What? I wish I filmed myself because I was like, what a surprise. It's a 1. What a surprise. I rolled the 1. The dog's looking at me like, what's going on over there? It's like, another 1 for Quebec. Oh, here's a Boston chance. Yes, another 6. It's not an. And I was getting animated and I was all by myself.
There's a reason why I don't stream those single team replays. Because I do get Tourette's, and at some point in either a team will massively underperform on a shift, or great, you're up 6-1. Now you get the goal. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Can we save these for the Rangers, please? Classic one is you bring in, because you've had this too, you bring in the ace reliever in a tight situation late in the game and has an ERA of 0.02 or whatever it is. And, he's got the 1 home run on his card, but you got to, it's Jerry Remy facing Mariano Rivera, let's say, and Remy can't homer. Remy can only homer on his card, and you got to roll a 2 and a 2, and then that 20-sider has to be a 1 or a 2. You think, if you're a Yankee fan, you got this locked down. And it happens. And the dice go flying because here he is, Mr. God himself, Rivera or Stanley or what name your reliever, and he gives up a walk-off and something you think you have won, and you're thinking about the next game, and you leave the table, and you are, for a lack of a better word, pissed.
Yeah.
We can say that, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. And so for you to have that goal scored with 4 seconds to go against you, you are not a happy camper.
I was not. And then to have a chance to win it and did it. And then in overtime, their first shot was in range too. At least if we went a few minutes and they had a couple shots that weren't in range, I would have felt a little bit better. But it just kicked me right in the groin there. I was like,
oh, yeah.
And then I go, so now it's late. It's about, 11:15 and I go to bed and I'm pretty steamed.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I want to go to bed on a good note, and I'm going to bed, this is one of the worst games I've played in quite some time as far as dice rolls go. And I remember there was a game in shootout hockey that was the same thing. Like power plays in shootout hockey, at least with the fast action cards, I want to say it's a good 75% chance for a goal in shootout hockey. It's just how it is in shootout hockey. And I remember getting power play chances and not scoring. And I'm just like, what are the chances that the other team is 4 for 4 on the power play and I get a chance and I can't even get a power play goal? It is just, and you shake your head at how this shakes out. And I know this storyline's there, and I know you don't win every game, and I know that someday it'll be kind of a funny story, but at the time,
it's not. And
it's not fun. It's just not fun.
That's how games get put away for a week or so.
Oh, yes. I had to put it away.
Because you don't want to go on and play the next one. And if you win, you're eager to go on to play the next one. Yeah. But if you lose, no, we're not doing this for a while.
Now, and it's not the game, because I played in this replay. I had Boston. They were in Vancouver. They were up 5-1 in Vancouver. And I'm like, oh, man, we're going to crush Vancouver. And Vancouver chipped away, and they came back, and they scored 5 in a row, and they won 6-5. As upset as I was that I lost that game, that was not a game where I didn't have a chance to score. I had scored 5 goals. And I was doing quite well, and the other team came back, and it was the last game of the road trip. So in my mind, they're tired. It's the end of the road trip. Okay, they just ran out of gas. It happens. As much it was a bummer, but I did not feel like I felt last night when every roll was not in range. It took me to the third period to test the goalie out, and they were getting, like I said, they had 6 or 7 chances in the first couple periods to my 0, and I was vastly outshooting them.
You get the strat, you get you take the shot, you get the rebound, you got it on the stick of someone who could score, and they even strength, and they get the goalie rating, but it's the goalie rating plus, so it's a save and a hole. The dreaded L.
When I played that regular season basketball, and they played the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm rolling, you roll the 2 dice to get your points. And I'm rolling 1s and 2s for Boston. And for Atlanta, I'm rolling 4s, 5s, and 6s. And I'm just like, man, And it's like, and I rolled the visitors first. If I had swapped out and rolled the home team first, the Celtics would have got all the points. But I'd be consistent, and I rolled visitors first.
Right.
And I remember playing. I was like, holy cow! I go, look at all the ones. I must have counted 12 ones on the Boston side of things. Because what do you get? 4 rolls a quarter. So you get
four rolls a quarter,
16 rolls in that game to determine your points in that game. When you start rolling ones a lot, that's a huge, huge disadvantage when you start rolling ones. And the other team's rolling 5s and 6s. I'm just like, this is unbelievable. I got 4 points, and they get 9. I get 3 points. They get 10. I get 2 points. They get 6. You can't win when you're rolling ones. It's like that game that I was playing, Dungeon there.
One Deck Dungeon.
One Deck Dungeon is another game I play. It's a fun dice game. But if you're fighting the enemy and you roll any of the dice come up as a 1,
especially towards you're toast.
Yeah, you can't. And I quit that game because it was so ridiculously hard to win that it was so unforgiving that when you roll a 1 in that game, then you don't win. You have to roll consistently 4, 5, and 6 to beat the enemy because it's all about adding up your dice, and you need 2 6s and 2 5s. Well, a 1.
It's a fun time killer. I want to say before I forget, on the Delphi forums, and I don't know this person's name, he has played the entire 61-62 season using regular season basketball. He's reached the finals. He actually got the Celtics and the Lakers in the finals. Celtics easily beat Philadelphia. The Lakers had to storm back to not only beat the Detroit Pistons, which they shouldn't have had to do that, but they also had to storm back to beat the Cincinnati Royals in the Western Conference Finals. It's been a fun read to do. What he does like you do. It's limited stats. I think he kept the rebounds for Russell and Chamberlain and a couple other centers, but mostly points. Mostly points. And so, I don't remember when he started it, but he is literally at the NBA Finals. And so I wanted to give, if he's listening, give him a shout out. That is a tremendously fun project to read through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and good for Marco to make a game that is that enthralling and you right up to it. So, and the averages, by the way, were pretty much spot on.
Oh, good. Yeah, but I've rolled some bad games in regular season basketball.
And it rubs off if I play the Hawks.
And even the replay PC basketball. Remember when I was doing the Celtics there? I haven't done that in quite some time either. And
they beat them. You'd lose to the Hawks.
I lost it, and I'm rolling. It's like, okay, I just need a 2 through 6, and I make the shot. And I roll a 1 or whatever it is. That blue die that comes out in PC replay, and it's just like that was just a killer. I mean, how many times? And I
shooting shots on a 4, 5, or 6, 2.
Yeah, and I remember like, okay, here are the Hawks with the ball, and yep, nice high roll, it's good. And here's the Celtics, low roll, whatever's good and bad. I kept rolling consistently good for the Hawks, consistently bad for the Celtics. They lost the game. I was like, and they got crushed too. I was like, what are the chances that I keep rolling this poorly for one team?
But that happens. At least Atlanta was like a 21 team. So so that's good experiences for you or I of Tourette's and the ups and downs of playing. Your favorite. It means a little more when you have an emotional investment in it.
Yeah, and conversely, there was someone in our Discord group, and I won't mention his name, but he posted the results last night right after I played my game. He's like, look at this, and I checked out his results. I think it was the Red Sox game, and they were down 8-1, and they scored 8 or 9 runs in the bottom of the 8th. And they come back and they beat, I think it was Detroit in whatever season he was playing. And I was like,
you're a Red Sox fan. That's you.
And I was like, so here's the other side of the coin. It's like, I'm playing my game. Nothing's going right. I'm completely frustrated. Here's his game, bottom of the 8th, and they bat in 8 or 9 runs to win the game in the bottom of the 8th. And I was
just by you saying that, I can just see a very empty Fenway exploding for those who had stayed.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, and again, there's that's what we're talking about, the ups and downs of playing your favorite team, because when they have those comebacks, it's the best thing in the world, and you're celebrating in the middle of the night and you're doing a dance, and then last night, like myself, I was borderline throwing dice around the room, I was slamming the table. It's like, again, how many more times can I roll this poorly?
Yeah, I get it.
It's the ups and downs, but to a point now where I need to go play a very neutral game. where I don't care who wins because I can enjoy it. This 1980 World Series that I'm playing with Strat PC Baseball, I'm enjoying the heck out of because I like both teams. I don't care who wins. And it's just enjoyable to sit back and watch this play without having an emotional connection.
There's a reason why I choose neutral streams for that. I honestly don't care who wins in those replays. Am I a little happier if the Red Sox win? Yes. If the Yankees lose? Yes. But, I did a Red Sox Yankee game this week, and the Yankees pounded them. It was like, okay, I wasn't upset by it. That's just the way it is. But, yes, because you can be neutral for that and like. You can learn to like.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing that by myself.
But it's weird. When I do the neutral games.
Stupid Don Mattingly.
I don't get high and I don't get low because I'm just a very neutral observer. The ups and downs of playing your favorite team is you can get really high when they win, but you can get really low when they lose.
Right.
So when you're doing a neutral game, you don't have the highs and the lows. So there's no right way, but sometimes a neutral game is a nice calming effect because you can just enjoy it. But you don't have the connection. You don't have the emotions of your team. And sometimes that's a good thing. Like last night, it would have been a good thing if I didn't have the Bruins on the table.
Exactly.
But there's other nights that when they do well, I get real excited about when they win. And I don't have that same excitement with a neutral game. But anyway, so we want to know your thoughts of it, the ups and downs of playing your favorite team. And I know most of us probably do play our favorite teams. Occasionally you might play a neutral game or whatever. But when you play your favorite team, tell us about the ups and downs of it. I mean, are the downs, do they seem a little bit more down than the ups seem up? I mean, I guess that's the human nature part of things. But holy cow, last night's game, and this was, again, we had talked about doing this topic before last night's game.
Right.
And last night's game just kind of gave it fuel for the fire. And I went to bed steaming last night, and I'm at the gym. You called me at the gym, and I'm spouting off at the gym about what happened last night. And we sat down, and I came in kind of red hot here in front of the microphone today. I'm still steaming about what happened. I look at the score sheets in front of me. I still can't believe that the scoring chances were that lopsided. And I know that they can happen. I get it. But when it happens, it's still...
You don't want it to be your team. You want it to be the other way.
It's just so frustrating. And we try to enjoy these games, and boy, I tell you, but they can be so frustrating. And there's nobody to blame because it's just the roll. And I'm rolling the dice. If it's the computer, I could say, the computer's screwing me. I was physically rolling the dice. I can't blame the game. I can't blame the computer. I can't blame the dog. It is me rolling the dice, and it's just how the chances come out. What are you going to do? But anyway, so we want to know your experiences, your ups and downs of playing your favorite team. All right, before we sign off, should we get to our 3 stars of the week?
Absolutely.
All righty. Randomly chosen here. Number 3 is Craig S. Craig, thank you so much.
Woohoo!
Craig is our number 3 star of the week. Our number 2 star of the week here on episode 140 is Mike Cravens.
Woohoo!
Michael, thank you so much for being one of our Patreons here on the show. And the number 1 star of the week of episode 140 is RF.
Yay!
RF, again, thank you.
Doesn't mean radio frequency, does it?
I'm not saying. But thank you. Those are our 3 stars of the week, randomly chosen from our Patreon group. Thank you so much as we continue on. And boy, I tell you, our anniversary is coming up next month, I think.
4 years, yeah. 3 years.
3 years, something like that, yeah. Well, I go back and see when episode 1 was. We'll have to have a little celebration going on that day to make it through COVID, to make it through 3 years and the whole bit. Yeah. And thanks to all the support, really, from the people who are Patreons and the people who just listen to the show. We check our Spreaker numbers and our YouTube numbers, and holy cow, from where we were, even not that long ago, we got a lot more people listening to the show. And so we want to say thank you for listening, and
thank you very much.
Thank you for commenting. So should we wrap things up?
Absolutely.
By the numbers, this has been episode 140 of the Digital Dice podcast. We recorded this on, June 23.
23rd, yep.
Yeah, still not quite summer in this part of the world.
Not in New England, it's not.
It's not. Anyway, ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com is our website. 978-751-DICE, that is the text line. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the way you can email us. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. Get in on the discussion with us over there. Ron, thanks for joining me today.
As always.
And you might need to stay on the line and calm me down a little bit more. Tell me a happy story. Tell me about your fishing trip. Something to calm me down.
I love Joe Sakic.
We'll see everybody later.
Bye-bye.